Hi, I'm Phil Hearn, and I'm here today to tell you about MRDCL, our scripted tabulation software, to tell you what's new in the software and what to expect next. And I think this comes against a background in that if you look at the scripted tabulation software packages that are around, and there aren't too many of them, you can probably name just them in one hand, like Quantum, MRDCL itself, of course, Merlin, and Uncle probably. All of them have really not done much more than produce tabulations since their inception back in the 1990s and even before that. And there's one or two others like SPSS and some other perhaps software that's around at the moment that lets you into programming languages such as Visual Basic or Python, but they're not what I call true scripting languages because they've either got few or no tools, particularly for market researchers. You're really just programming from scratch. So if we look at the scripted tabulation market, we don't really feel any of the products out there have moved on into other areas since the 1990s. Perhaps one or two have bolted things on, but generally they haven't moved on. We're changing that. We're looking to move tabulations on so that we'll have to actually call it, rather than advanced scripted tabulation software, advanced scripted reporting and tabulation software. So let's take a look at where we're going and perhaps just reflect first of all on where we've come from. So if we look at the scripted tabulation market and indeed MRDCL itself, the 1990s was probably the period when I think completeness was put in place, and by that I mean that all the tools you need to produce any tables was made available in the software packages. And I think that was equally true of Quantum and Merlin and probably Uncle as well, which I know a little bit less about. So that was the decade of completeness. And then into the 2000s, that became efficiency in the sense that there were more shortcuts added. There were ways of doing things that just reduced time. And we actually added as well ourselves some sort of added little utilities that just made the life of people who were producing tabulations a little bit easier. Then we started to perhaps pull away from all the other products out there, partly because Quantum was no longer developed into the 2000s, but productivity became our key focus. And we started introducing ways of reducing time that people spent on projects substantially. So it became a commonplace thing in MRDCL that a project that might take 30 hours normally to complete could perhaps be done in 15 hours. And in probably every project, we were able to cut about 20-25% of production time, but in some projects, we actually managed to get production time down by as much as 80 to 90%. Really, real big gains. And we've done that by introducing templates and our EPS productivity tools, which I'm not going to go into more detail here, but meant that you could produce templates so that regularly required needs within the software could be templated and just reused in future. And that worked really well for anything that was either complex or indeed laborious to specify. So that was our big move in the 2010s. Now we come to the 2020s, and what's next for us? Well, we've called this the 5 vowels, and of course everybody who knows their alphabet will know what the 5 vowels are: A, E, I, O and U. But what do they stand for when it comes to where MRDCL has gone in the newest release that's now available and the next release which is scheduled for the end of 2021? Well, we can summarize those 5 vowels as automation, expansion, integration, output, and a massive upgrade. So let's look at those in a little bit more detail and just see what I mean by these terms: automation, expansion, etc. Let's start with automation. Well, the first thing that we've done is not only improve the imports into MRDCL, we've made them automatic. So if you've got your data coming from another system where you want to bring it into MRDCL, that can be an automated process now, and you will get really rich MRDCL script. And I've seen other programs that import data from other systems. They produce very inefficient script when they're imported. With our imports, for example, if you import from SPSS, you'll see use of do loops to make the script as efficient as possible automatically. So this really does improve productivity and save you time. What else have we got? Well, we've already done a lot of work in tables to allow templates and so on. We've just added some tools to make that even better than what we had in 2010. And particularly when it comes to doing multiple runs. So if you've got a project where you need multiple runs, maybe a multi-country study where you want to run not just one run for all countries, you want perhaps 5 individual runs for each of the 5 countries with changes for each country or changes in the analysis for each country. That's now possible automatically. You don't have to run one at a time. So we've got that into the system. Perhaps you want to run the same script several times for the quarterly project. So you're running a tracking study, and every quarter you want to run the last year's data, the last quarter's data, and perhaps the last month's data with different outputs and different reports, perhaps feeding into something else. Well, all that's been put into MRDCL now as a tool that you can automatically use to generate your runs. But it doesn't stop there. It means you can automatically export your data off to other bits of software, whether that be in Excel format, whether that be in SSS for some other piece of market research software. You can automate that. And it goes further. You can now automate your reports, so you can automate what comes out of MRDCL to feed reports, although we're doing our major improvements in that area in the second of our stage of releases in 2021. And if you want to feed data into dashboards, that's all part of the automation process, again, which we're going to be enhancing in 2021. Expansion. Well, we talked about importing data, but links to other software I think are really important. So that's something that, again, we're improving, not just importing and export. We very much see MRDCL as, if you like, a part of a process. I think market research has changed from being people keying in data from paper questionnaires and then perhaps producing some tables, someone taking those tables, perhaps writing a report, putting some figures into a PowerPoint in a presentation. Market research has moved on much more, and we now need tabulations and scripted tabulations to be part of a process, whatever that process might be. And that process might be something like charting, it might be putting things into a dashboard, but we need to fit it in. And MRDCL has made some huge strides into improving that and will continue to do that as things develop through 2021. So automation and expansion, 2 really key parts of developments that we've been working on and that we're delivering to you to improve your processes. And integration, really our goal is to get data from anywhere so that you can process an MRDCL. You can make MRDCL a black box if you want to, that just takes feeds from elsewhere, runs your analysis so that you can grab the figures the other side to do what you want to it. So MRDCL has become much more than just a piece of software where you can specify your tables like you can in Quantum and then take those tables and do what you're going to do with them. It can be integrated into your processes to suit what works for you. So data from anywhere and data to anywhere are really what our goals are. And if we look a bit further on that, we're very excited by the new developments that we're hearing from TSAPI, which is going to be able to build an API so that you can link your data to business information systems, for example, and MRDCL will be adhering to that as soon as that development is completed. So a lot of benefits for research agencies because it means that they can deliver whatever their clients want. And to take that one step further as well, that we've now moved on to linking MRDCL with Resolve, which is our new secondary analysis software, which again is replacing Reflect, but doesn't just do tables, goes on and does charts and will automate reports in PowerPoint, for example. So really big developments that MRDCL is going to go into as well. And I'll talk about what's next in a little while. Outputs, well, data in the required format, we've already talked about. Tables in the required format, so that includes tables. nicely formatted in Excel so that they're deliverable to a client with hyperlinks, looking presentable in Excel so they can be used easily or used as data that you make your own charts from if that's what you want to do. Real flexibility, feeding reports in PowerPoint, feeding dashboards so that you can link into, for example, our CYS platform that we use for dashboards, or if you have another dashboarding system you prefer, being able to feed data into that. Really giving you flexibility to do what you want, because market research has changed. It's not one process anymore. It's not 3 individual steps such as keying in data, tabulating it and generating a report. It really needs to be an integrated process now. And that just means the routes that people want to take through the software have changed and widened and become multiple different routes. So big upgrades, and we think this makes MRDCL something new because it's not just an engine now for producing tables, it's a data management system, an automation system, and in 2021 we'll be automating PowerPoint reports using MRDCL scripting language, which will be something new that you'll be getting in 2021. So real power there to link a process straight through to PowerPoint delivery or through to a dashboard system. So MRDCL has changed a little bit in the way we're doing this. I'm not going to go into this in great detail now, but what was one package as MRDCL, we've renamed MRDCL as MRDCL Classic, so it's the old software, if you like, that we've had for many years, 20 years or so. If you want to use it like that, you'll be able to use it in the classic way. What we've added to MRDCL is something called MRDCL Central, and that comes with a whole load of new things that were not available previously to bring MRDCL up to date, but also offer these flexibilities that I've been discussing. So what's new in MRDCL? Well, first of all, in the classic version of MRDCL, we've increased the limits within there hugely. There's some of the things in there which regular users will recognize, such as the number of items in a variable now has gone to 30,000. The record length we've increased from 100,000 to 300,000 characters. That's mainly because there's a lot of online software that isn't able to control how it exports data and exports data very inefficiently, such as, for example, it might have a lot of text in there which you can't hide. You have to output it when you don't actually want to tabulate that data, and so record lengths have often grown hugely simply due to the inefficiencies of other software. And that also applies sometimes some of these online data collection tools. If there's loops in there, perhaps some questions for each product, and there's 50 products, there'll be 50 blocks of data, which makes the data storage very inefficient. And so we've responded to that and answered some of our users' needs, I think, there by hugely increasing the limits. And we've done that in other places as well within the software. We've also brought in a new variable type to cope with big integers, because there's some very big integers that are being analysed now, and that's something that I think people are finding a benefit. CSV files, we can read data directly from CSV files in MRDCL now, so that you don't need to convert it to ASCII as you had to with a routine that we used to have before. That's all native, if you like, to the software. We've introduced master STPX files so that you now have a system of having a master file and a subfile. You haven't got to do that. It just means that the files can be managed within MRDCL Central much more efficiently, and you get some benefits as a result of that. And we've added some new formats for managing outputs in CSV files and so on. So that's all good. And significance testing has become very popular, if you like, in the 2010s. It's become something that's grown in importance, and we put in a whole load of new different options that people want for using Z-tests, T-tests, overlapping samples and so on, other calculations that not everybody uses, but some people use when they're producing significance tests. So there's really hugely greater flexibility now for anyone who wants to do significance testing. So what's MRDCL Central about? Well, I'm just going to summarize it quickly here. and then go on to what's new, what's coming after this. So the new release that we're releasing at the beginning of 2021 on January the 1st, it's got a new modern file management system so that you can look at last runs, you can select favorites, things that perhaps you should expect in a modern piece of software so that it's easy to navigate and easy to manage your projects. We've added a color-coded editor into the software so that now different bits of syntax are highlighted in different colors. I have to confess here, I thought this was a bit of a gimmick when our developers talked about adding a color-coded editor, but I do find it so much easier to navigate scripts now that we've got a color-coded editor. Find errors, they stand out to me now because errors are in red, and I can see which piece of script is errors when I make a mistake. So really helpful, the color-coded editor, even though at one point I thought it was a gimmick. Importing from SPSS, Triple-s, that's now automatic. You can do some really clever imports from SPSS, save them. So if SPS is a very good example in that it often stores data very inefficiently, such as when you've got multi-coded questions, you need to pull them back as a multi-coded question because there's several single-coded questions in SPSS. In MRDCL now, we have an import that lets you manage that so that, for example, if you've got a tracking study, you could save how those questions are put back together as multi-response questions in MRDCL for efficient processing, and save that, and next time you import, it would be automatically imported the way you want it. So some really nice controls there. We've got automatically hyperlinked tables generated in Excel. You can choose how you have those with percentages, figures, both together. Some people like to do charts straight from those as well. So really convenient now to have easily navigable tables in Excel so that you can either give them as clients just to work through the tables or to be able to produce charts from in a much more easy way. The batch run facility I've mentioned now so that you can do multiple runs without having to sit there running one at a time. And we have clients, for example, who literally want to run 100 or even 1,000 sets of tables where they're perhaps producing some PowerPoint reports for 1,000 different outlets. So one report in PowerPoint for each outlet. You can now set up 1,000 runs in MRDCL, click, let them all run, and then the other side you'll have 1,000 sets of tables, which in the new release will be able to program in MRDCL so that you can script your PowerPoint charts and link them straight through to PowerPoint and not only have 1,000 sets of tables, but 1,000 PowerPoint reports. Really powerful stuff. And we've got automated exports now so that you can export data where you want to automatically. So what's new for 2021? Well, let's have a look ahead to what's going on and already development and schedule for release later in 2021. Well, we've got code snippets. So code snippets will let you have prepared snippets of code that you can just drag into the color-coded editor, and you'll be able to edit and use to make chunks of code for you. So you won't have to learn the syntax necessarily. And this will go right from simple things to really complex things that you might want to do. We will have available about 100 code snippets by the end of next year so that you can just drag and drop those into your script and have commonly required specifications at your fingertips. Just then all you do is in a form put in the things that you want to fill those things like the data location, the brands and so on. So you just put in the bits that you need to and the script will embed into your current STP file. More automation tools are coming so that you can go on, as I said, and make charts, PowerPoints in Excel, for example, or PowerPoint itself, and export data to dashboards and so on, so that the whole process can be automated, even in real time. We're improving the table outputs so that you can actually customize the look and feel of your Excel outputs with complete access to all the controls you need there. And we'll also in the table outputs have HTML tables as well. So really letting you choose what you do with your figures that you're calculating in MRDCL, and all within the software having tools or syntax that lets you move that on to things like charts and to dashboards. Really important things that improve your automation and efficiency. Well, what else is there? For those who have been to our website or our YouTube channel, you might be aware we have 50 videos or over 50 videos already. There's another 20 to 25 planned for quarter 2 in 2021. They'll be available soon, and there'll be a new MRDCL.com website shortly, which we'll be announcing, which will have other information on there, downloadables and information, training guides, and a whole host of other things, including those 100 code snippets. And I should mention on the code snippets that you'll be able to build your own snippets if you like, so that you can share those with colleagues. So it will be an open system that you can build your own snippets on top of the ones, or modifying the ones that we supply automatically. And something else we're going to be announcing in 2021 is we're going to start up ideas at MRDCL.com, and such that there will be a prize for the best idea that we find that we actually utilize within the software. So look out for that in 2021. So can you have the new release of MRDCL? Yes, you can. It's available now. It's all been working. Just ask our team and you can have the upgrade if you're a current user, or you can have a trial if you're not a user yet. So don't forget the 5 VOWELS. They're really important to where MRDC is going with its MRDCL development. Really important developments which we think has taken us well beyond just doing scripted tabulations, take us into automation of bringing in data, processing data, and perhaps more importantly, delivering data as clients want it. So don't forget AEIOU, automation, expansion, integration, and output in our hugely upgraded software. If you want more information, you can contact me. My email address is there, phil.hearn@mrdcsoftware.com, or contact my colleague Nikki Sunga at mrdcsoftware.com, and both of us will be pleased to help you in any way that we can. Well, thanks for listening. Any questions, please fire an email at us. We want you to make the most of MRDCL and take advantage of where we're pushing it into that new direction. Thank you.